What's up, YouTube? It's your man Sean over here at Eye on You TV coming through with another one. Just in, Chicago news on some police. The article came in from CBS Chicago. Chicago police officer sergeant charged with shooting an unarmed man in Pilsen in July. A Chicago police officer and sergeant are facing felony charges after Cook County prosecutors say they shot an unarmed man in July in Pilsen. Chicago police have previously described the July 22nd incident at 18th and Morgan Streets as a shootout, but the Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox on Friday said the two officers are being charged and were the first to open fire, and had no justification for opening fire on a 23-year-old man who was shot. Chicago Police Sergeant Christopher Lycopoulos, 43, and Officer Ruben Reynoso each face charges of aggravated battery with a firearm, aggravated discharge of a firearm, and an official misconduct. Their bail has been set at $25,000 each, meaning they must post $2,500 to be released from custody. They also have been ordered to surrender their firearms and firearm owners' identification cards. Both officers are assigned to the Major Accident Investigation Unit have been relieved of their police powers. They turned themselves in Thursday night. Fox said they face up to 30 years in prison if convicted. Police have said shortly before 7 a.m. on July 22nd, two officers with the Major Accident Investigation Unit were driving to the police academy for training when they spotted a group of 4 people wearing masks and loitering outside a closed store near 18th and Morgan Streets. Police have said one of the officers identified himself as law enforcement. One person in the group pulled out a gun and started shooting, prompting the offenders to shoot back. They were masked up, obviously armed, and once our officers identified himself as a police officer, they began pulling a gun and shooting our officers. They tried to kill them, Police Superintendent David Brown said at the time. After an initial exchange of gunfire, the officers got out of their car and the shooter ran off, continuing to fire at the officers, police said. However, Fox said in a review of evidence in the case contracted the officers' claims and shows that Lycopoulos and Reynoso fired first. The officers involved in this incident did not have provocation or justification to shoot an unarmed victim during this incident. The evidence does not support the use of deadly force related to the shooting of an unarmed victim and was not lawful, Fox said. We cannot ignore or stand by the acts of unprovoked violence, even at the hands of those who sworn to serve and protect our communities. At the officers' bond hearing Friday afternoon, the Assistant State's Attorney Alyssa Jackney said, after Lycopoulos and Reynoso stopped to question a group of men they spotted outside some clothing business near 18th and Morgan to ask them what they were doing there. A 23-year-old man and a juvenile started walking toward the passenger side of the officer's unmarked squad car. While the juvenile was wearing a satchel on his chest and had a gun, the 23-year-old man was unarmed, holding a cell phone and a wine bottle in one hand, with his other hand empty, according to Chiicago. After approaching the officer's car, the juvenile turned and ran away, while the 23-year-old man showed officers both his hands, and Chiicago said when both Reynoso and Lycopoulos pointed their guns out at the passenger side window and started shooting. The 23-year-old man was shot in the back of his leg and fell to the ground, according to Chiicago. The The juvenile kept running east on 18th Street before firing multiple shots at the officers, who fired several more shots. A pedestrian who was walking behind the juvenile at the time suffered a graze wound, according to Chiicago. Neither the juvenile nor the officers were wounded. Prosecutors said the 23-year-old man who was shot was unarmed and never fired any shots at the police. The victim who was shot and injured in this incident was in possession of a weapon, nor did the victim fire a weapon at these two officers, Fox said. A 23-year-old man, Miguel Medina, has filed a federal lawsuit against the city and Chiicago. During an interview with the detectives on the day of the shooting, the officers told detectives that they opened fire only after the juvenile shot at them, according to Chiicago. The next day, in an interview with both prosecutors and detectives, they said they didn't know who shot first, but said the juvenile pointed a gun at them before any shots were fired. Several days later, evidence obtained during an investigation contradicted the officers' accounts, showing a 23-year-old man was standing in the street near an open passenger side window of a car, with both hands visible, and the juvenile was running away from the vehicle when the officers started shooting. Defense attorneys disputed prosecutors' account of the shooting, saying the 23-year-old man gestured at officers with his hands as both he and the juvenile were walking toward the car, claiming that it was unclear from the surveillance video who fired first. It is not clear who fired first, but it doesn't matter if he's pointing a gun at him, said Renasco's defense attorney and Brian Sexton. Sexton also accused prosecutors of moving too quickly to file charges before the civilian Office of Police Accountability has even completed a review of the case. The state has jumped the shark, Sexton said. The officers involved did not have body cameras, according to Fox. The video evidence in the case came from surveillance cameras near the store. Fox said an investigation remains in regard to the juvenile. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability also is investigating the officers' use of force, but has yet to announce any findings. Well, kind of seems like a bloody situation in Chicago involving the police. I thought I would bring that to you. It's crazy. Everything moves real fast in the big city. Like, share, and subscribe to IOU TV. It's the greatest channel in the world. Stay happy, stay healthy, and watch yourself out there in them streets. Peace. Also, I had some people that didn't like my content. Let me tell you what to do if you don't like my content. There's the off button, the X button. Get off my channel if you don't like what I'm doing. Stay off of it. You don't have to hit me. This is my channel. If you don't like what I'm doing, go make you one to make your own content. Stop being evil. Peace.